Review lockdown procedures. Hear the lockdown announcement. Move quickly and safely to the nearest classroom. Lock classroom door by removing the magnet. Build a barricade in front of the door. Check and secure the windows and close the blinds. Turn off all lights in the classroom, including projectors. All students and teachers move to the safe area designated in your classroom. Take attendance of everyone in the classroom. Turn the correct color of your emergency sheet to face the outside. Wait for the all clear from a recognized official.
Because it's a systemic issue, not just for our school or our school district, but for this generation. We all take school security very seriously. The doc has his rules that he has to follow. That doesn't mean that we don't have the students' interest at heart. We talk a lot about how we can make the drills more effective rather than using quantity as a measure, and we use quality as a measure. And I think that's our goal that we're working together on to try to reduce the stresses that the students have and still be in accordance with the law. In talking about the challenges of the high school leadership team was very clear that one of the biggest challenges was controlling access. That, students could come in with other students and no one person is going to know the faces of 2,000 kids.
Other thing that I'm not really too keen about is the infrastructure. That building, they had the newest addition onto that was like in 1980 something. But if someone wanted to get into school and was considering, like, say for instance, mass shooting, they could do whatever. If they had a plan, they could do whatever and get into the school. They're more concerned with getting my license. As a parent, they need to see my license as opposed to, like, I don't know, real security thing. Not necessarily policing, but, because I definitely am not really for police being in the schools or that kind of, but I feel like that the security guards that they have, what are you securing?
It was maybe a week into school, like brand new at school, and she came home and she was like terrified and told me that they did this thing where they had to go and hide in the closet and they played music really loud and you have to be quiet as a mouse because we don't know whether it's real or pretend, in the words of the 5-year-old at the time. And I was incensed by this. It just doesn't make sense to me to take a 5-year-old in a new environment who's already scared and then scare the hell out of them just for I don't know what. I understand the idea of preparation, but I think the preparation can take a lot of forms, and I think age-appropriate preparation makes sense. I think you train teachers. I don't think you train.
Kai is 14 years old and in ninth grade at the local high school. Kai tells me that he likes high school because it's, quote, more free.
Honestly, one of my teachers, like, they showed us, like, what happened. It was, like, all over the news. I don't want to talk about it. Can I not talk about it? Because it's very morbid. I was in 7th grade. They were, like, shocked, and one of them just, like, holding their mouth the whole time. I didn't really say anything, but I was just like, that's not good. That's horrible. Where we are, there are a lot of kids, and I feel like some don't have very good mindsets, and some might bring, like, weapons or guns or something to school and do something violent. I've seen it on the news. I've seen it in articles, newspapers, YouTube, everywhere. And it may not always be like in Columbia, but I've seen like it happen in other schools, so I'm afraid. Because there are some people I know that can be very like impulsive and, angry. And they have like really bad, evil thoughts. Someone could be at their home and like their parents own a gun and they could like take that to school in a bag and no one would know. Because they don't do like metal detector things or anything like that. There are guards around, like security guards. The red alert is where we're like locked in a room and we hide under the tables. Although that doesn't make me feel safe either, because kids like nowadays they think about stuff like that. Like if they brought a weapon to school, they would know that we would be behind tables. So that doesn't make me feel very safe. But having a lockdown, knowing that there are guards out there that like try and protect, and there's a police station nearby, that makes me feel safe to a degree. Sometimes someone makes a joke about like something stupid like, oh, I'm gonna bring a bomb to school, ha ha ha. I said that once like as a kid, but I was thinking of like a cartoonish type bomb. Like I wasn't thinking of an actual grenade. And then my teacher said, please don't say that, that's not funny. And I was like, it's just a joke, I don't see what's bad about that. But my teacher was really serious about that, and it kind of scared me a little bit. So he was very like playful and happy and kind. So like when he did that, I was like, oh wow, I probably shouldn't say that anymore. He didn't want anything to happen to me or anyone else. When they say it's a drill, I know it's not bad because it's a drill. It's supposed to like prepare you for if it actually happens. It was in first grade. The first time I actually had it, I was like, the alarms were like, not the, like the fire alarms were blaring. It's like a loud, like wee you type thing. This is a drill. Code red, code red. I don't remember the actual sentence. So I started crying a little bit because I was a little scared. I wasn't really paying attention to anyone else. I was more so like thinking too much to myself. I had my hands like this. My knees were like up to my face and I was like bald, and like my whole body was like bald. I remember I was crying somewhere. I was scared. I thought someone was gonna die. There was one kid, I don't want to say his name, but he had autism. So he was like kind of freaking out. He was saying like, oh my gosh, and holding his head. When you hear like a bunch of alarms blaring, you start to get like really worried. She said, it's all right, it's just a drill. And I didn't know what that meant because I was in first grade. So when she said it was just a drill, and she told me what a drill was, she told me it's something to prepare you for what could happen. So that's when I was like, okay, this makes more sense. If they never put like school drills out, if the actual thing happened, there could be kids dying or being injured. So they prepare us for like the real thing. I didn't mean to say it's a bad idea. Doing drills is very important so you know how to prepare for the real thing. I meant like if someone actually brought a weapon to school, they would know where we would hide. So they just look there first. They should probably change that up a little bit. I think like the going underneath the table thing, I don't want that. I would prefer something different. Like if there was like another room or a basement to go down to that like people can't get into. Something to like more secret than just like underneath a table. Because if someone walked in the room right now, fully armed, they're gonna look to see where you are and you could die. They make me feel safe, but to an extent. The extent would be like they walk into the exact room that I'm in and I feel very, very unsafe because I know that they have weapons. I know that they could do something and they know exactly where to look because it's kind of obvious where people would be. Especially with like 20 or plus students. But I would say it makes me feel more safe. Kids need to know that because if the actual thing happened, they would freak out and they wouldn't be thinking straight. That could possibly lead to death. It's better safe than sorry.
Racism and discrimination that is so rampant that people feel justified in what they're doing based on their political beliefs. I mean, I'm speaking of shooters. I think the rationale and some of these manifestations manifesto that we see just are a product of our culture that's incredibly biased and bigoted and racist. I don't think they should have to do them. I think a conversation framed in this is what we do to keep safe is going to be both more effective and less damaging for those children, for all children of that age at least.
About 6 years ago when Sandy Hook happened.
As a parent, I like the staff a lot. I like that Columbia is still semi-diverse. I do like the fact that my son can be around people that he still has his childhood. We're not worrying about him growing up too fast. As a 14-year-old Black male, he still has a lot of his innocence, and I'm really happy about that. Talk about special education for a child with autism. Girl, they call me a dragon lady because I was like, I'm not playing. Don't play with me. Writing letters, I was writing emails, I was doing the whole thing. I have a Black son. My son is in the endangered species category. And I want him to I would just put it out there. Mm-hmm. I never pull any punches. And those white people, they be sitting around there looking at me and they don't say it. Don't say nothing. Because I'm like, I grew up here. I went to school here. I'm not I've never been afraid of speaking up, especially to white people. I was like, I want my kids to be like that. I don't want them to be afraid. I think the diversity, in terms of socioeconomic diversity and ethnic diversity, has kind of declined a little bit. And the other thing that I'm not really too keen about is the infrastructure. That building, they had the newest addition onto that was in 1980 something. Everything is still the same. Columbia is very dark. It's very closed. They're more concerned with getting my license. As a parent, they need to see my license as opposed to real security thing. I was like, I tell you I'm a parent. I'm coming to pick up my kid. You have to see my license for real. That's what they're, more concerned about. As opposed to maybe getting real security officers. Not necessarily policing, because I definitely am not really for police being in the schools. But I feel like that the security guards that they have really securing. But if someone wanted to get into school and was considering, say, for instance, mass shooting, they could do whatever if they had a plan and get into the school. I don't know if I feel scared. I think if a kid wanted to bring in something and hide it, they could hide it. I don't know if it's my faith or if it's, my, pray. I pray, pray every day. That's part of who I am. I don't know how many times they've done the drill. I know in South Florida Middle School, I believe it was maybe once or twice, I think, a year. I would hope they would have logistics where students could safely either get to a safe place where no one can get in, or that they would teach students how to, if something were to happen, this is, let's be calm, let's whatever it is. Logistically, I would hope that it was something that they could either be safe somewhere, like a safe room, right? So I think they're necessary. I believe that any drill for safety is definitely necessary. Knowing what's around you is important, regardless. I would say that it has increased probably anxiety. From what I see with my sons, they already kind of have a little anxiety in general. But so I don't know if it's environmental. All the images that we see, the news, the videos, the YouTube. Back in the day, we didn't have as much. We have media, of course, we have radio, we have television, but we didn't have it on in our pockets. So these young people, young people, they're seeing so much that we didn't have to see on a regular basis, and I think it can mess with your mind in different ways. If it's safety, if we're talking about safety, we're talking about police brutality and, the things that affect our children meaning, I'm going to say children of color, Black children, girls and boys, young men and young women. So if I'm talking about safety, I'm usually talking about that, not school shootings. Like, it might be just like to make people feel comfortable, or parents to kind of alleviate their fears, especially if you're a parent with young children. It's like you feel like, oh my God, they're defenseless, so I'm entrusting this school district to take care of my kid. So I think that some of it might be lip service, and I don't mean to say it so cavalier. I don't know about the cross burnings, like when they set them on fire, but I remember that people would have the lawn signs. I think it created more of a militant youth action. And even when I was in middle school and high school, I think I was like the most militant person. Definitely in high school. They call me Mrs. Malcolm X. But yeah, I think that the students during that time, the Black students, they were serious. And we had walkouts and things like that when I was in Columbia, but it was student-led walkouts and protests, and especially with Rodney King. When Rodney King, that happened, it was a devastating time, because I don't know if my parents were concerned with safety as much as, that racism, attacks on people, especially, African Americans in this country, exists. But to see it or to experience it is like something different. And yeah, it was bad.
Anxiety is something that affects all of us. What I've heard from my daughter in elementary school is that they had to hide in closets, that there would be a loud alarm sound during the drill, that sometimes, there'd be one or more students in her class who felt really scared during the drill, thinking it was a real event.
The other thing I would say that they did a really great job of is whenever there was like a safety or security issue, that was the one thing where they were actually very transparent on. And whenever something like that happened, they always notified the entire school community.
Amanda is a special education teacher and has taught in her elementary school for 19 years. She grew up in the area, graduating from the local high school.
I currently teach 5th grade. Before that, I was in 3rd grade. And before that, I did kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade reading intervention. So I've taught K through 5 in this building. I really like that when I'm out, I see the families that I teach. I see the students that I teach. My primary goal as a teacher, day in and day out, is to make my kids feel comfortable and safe and accepted and seen and valued. My approach is very much community-based, because with my students, I feel like not that academics take second place, but students aren't going to be able to give me their full academic potential if they are not comfortable. There's a lot of talk about, violence and shootings and whatnot. So while that's on my radar and it's something that feels like I've been told could happen at any time, I don't believe that I am in a position where I am unsafe in my building. I think back to like Columbine. I was a senior in high school, and at the time, it felt like an anomaly. I don't remember feeling unsafe at school. I don't remember feeling that way at all. I remember thinking like, this is not something that happens everywhere. This is not something that happens every day. And then I became a teacher in 2003. And I do feel that now it's like, well, yeah, school shootings happen. I have a really heightened awareness of and fear around violence in schools, but at the same time, I feel very safe in the building that I am in. Even though that's part of our routine is to be having to think about this and be concerned about it. We do the typical fire drill that we all grew up with, which is easy besides like the loud noise. We do evacuation drills. They feel very similar to a fire drill, except for we go farther away from the building. We do code yellows. The classroom routine goes on as normal. There's no real disruption. And then there's the code red, which is like the really big, loud, scary music. Like code red, and there's like this siren sound that goes along with it. Like the sound is very jarring, and then it's getting in the closet, lights off, everybody in the closet, and then you wait. I've been shoved in a closet with 24 kids, another adult, and a para, because I'm an inclusion teacher. You know, I manage my own anxiety, and I get incredibly anxious during those drills. You have kids that are like you can see like the worry on their face, and fear. Sometimes there's fear. There's absolutely, definitely incidents of fear. And when children feel worried or concerned or anxious, they express it in different ways. It's a mixed bag. So some kids are going to start messing around because that's how they deal with their anxiety. Some kids are going to cry or get upset. If it takes a long time, sometimes it takes a long time, you know, you see the tears start to well up and you have to be like, this is just a drill. We just practice this to stay safe. It's okay. You know, you're safe. It's all right. I'm here. It's going to be over. You're safe. You just tell me you just got to wait it out. It's okay. I'm here. You're safe. The police officers come door to door. They unlock the door. I can see myself like looking through like the grates in the closet to see like that it's police officers. And they'll say, South Orange PD, this is just a drill. Wait here until X, Y, or Z. Sometimes they'll say, okay, you know, you can leave the closet door open, but you need to stay in there until the drill's over. And then you need to hear like 2 announcements from 2 different administrators or a police officer and an administrator before we can end the drill. Even knowing that it's a drill, you can literally feel the tension. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. I do, as a teacher, feel like I do like knowing what the quote unquote right thing to do is. And who's to say what is right? It's scary for me to think that like this is something that kids experience from like the minute they're in school. I don't know that having an entire classroom full of kids literally on top of each other in a closet, I don't know that that's in their best interest. I don't know if it takes the kid's best interest in mind. I don't know. Could it be done in different ways? Does it need to be practiced with the students in the classroom 5 times or 4 times or 3 times a year? I don't know that really, that's necessary. My opinion is that if we were to do the code red drills and have the students sit at their desks and explain, this is a drill, if it were a true emergency, this is what we would do, I think that would be okay. Being in the closet and like literally not being able to see what's going on, you know, kind of brings another level of anxiety. As a teacher, as an elementary school teacher, every time I hear of a school shooting, it hurts. Especially when you think of like kids dying. I mean, I would do anything that I could to keep my students safe. I don't know that this is the right way to do it. I don't know.
So that made me feel safe because it was like they were taking these things very seriously. What they would tell us with the lockdown drills is that they would tell us that they were having them, but they would never really give a ton of details about what the drill itself looked like. You know, and they always said, you know, for security reasons, we can't really go into depth, but here's what we can tell you. We did have a drill. Either we used sirens or didn't use sirens, or or the police were here or they weren't here. Whatever it was that was happening generally, they would give that type of communication after the drill. From what I understand, the ones in the school system are much more intense than what we do at daycare, because obviously the child range that we deal with is younger. You basically put the kids all together in a corner or an area of the room or in a different room or wherever it is that the designated space is. There was one year, though, where
Code red. This is a code red drill. I repeat, this is a code red drill. All students and teachers report to their respective classrooms. Turn off the lights. Close the blinds. Lock the doors. And stay hidden away from windows and doors. Remember to remain silent. Code red. This is a code red. I repeat, this is a code red drill. All students and teachers report to their respective classrooms. Turn off the lights, close the blinds, lock the doors, and stay hidden away from windows and doors. Remember to remain silent. Code red. This is a code red. I repeat, this is a code red. All students and teachers report to their respective classrooms. Turn off the lights, close the blinds, lock the doors, and stay hidden away from windows and doors. Remember to remain silent. Code red. This is a code red drill. I repeat, this is a code red drill. All students and teachers report to their respective classrooms. Turn off the lights. Close the blinds.
I don't remember if it was a teacher or if it was a child, but someone said something to the effect of, we do these because what happens if a shooter comes to the building? Some of the kids, that statement alone completely freaked them out, to the point where, like I remember one of the children went home, they said something to the parent called us, and I was like, well, that's not something we say. So we talked to the teacher.
This is an important topic as well. There's been a lot of discussion about safety drills, security drills, active shooter drills, etc. in our district. Part of my needs assessment in this area has been meeting with experts.